Actually, had done this capital.
Okay.
I didn't do expense from then on.
Hi, everyone.
Serious capital.
Yeah, let's see, maybe Elizabeth.
You know what, I really think they just evaluated anyhow. That's my sense. Or don't.
That's two words. No, three, we can. Coral, yeah, coral. Looking for Elizabeth. Better? No.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's,
Okay,
well, there's our guest.
yes, she's our guest.
Art.
Elizabeth is the Senior Public Art Coordinator. Excellent. Thanks, Elizabeth. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
My video's a little dark, but usually the lighting adjusts itself momentarily.
Thank you. Thanks. Let's just do the introductions. Let's get started, and then we can turn over to you, Elizabeth, first. Okay.
Great.
So you can get on. Okay. Welcome everyone to Community Board 2 September 2025 Parks and Waterfront Committee meeting. We are meeting at the Community Board 2 office, and there's an option for people to join remotely as well. My name is Rich Cacapolo. I am the chair of this committee. Let me allow the others in the room to introduce themselves, and then we'll get started. Shirley?
Shirley Secunda, full board member.
Eddie Siegel, board member.
Ben Listman, board member.
Right. Let me go to I see Susanna and Frederica.
Hi, Susanna Aaron, Vice Chair. And Frederica Siegel.
Yeah. We've got Coral on, I saw.
Coral Dawson, public member.
Right, thank you. And I know, so I don't know, Ritu will join a little later. I think Elizabeth and anybody else on? No, that's it. Okay. We have two topics today. This is not a, we are going to hear a discussion of a new installation of art installation, and then we've got thanks for that. And then we're going to use the remaining time. We're not going to take too long. I promised everyone this would be a fast meeting. I promised. There is school tomorrow. Public school. But so we we'll get into our discussion of our district needs assessment, which is a thing where I ask Mark the same questions every year, like what's the difference between a capital and an expense. So let me start by welcoming everyone back from the summer. I hope everyone had a good summer. But let's turn it over to Elizabeth. She's the Senior Public Art Coordinator for New York City Parks. And Elizabeth, can you unmute yourself and take it away? She's gonna.
Thanks for having me. I'm Elizabeth Masella. I'm the Senior Public Art Coordinator at NYC Parks. I was here a few months ago. I'm trying to remember what the last project we shared was. Maybe Washington Square Park?
No, Canal Street. I looked it up.
Canal Street, yeah. So that piece is actually finally in. There were a number of fabrication delays, but the piece is at Canal Park now. That was installed over the summer. This evening, I'm here to just share some information about an upcoming temporary public art installation coming to Lieutenant Petrosino Square in mid-October. Unfortunately, the artist couldn't be here as she teaches on Wednesday evenings. But I know the project quite well, and I'm happy to share information and answer any questions you might have. Sharing my screen. Can you see that?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Great. And if there's any questions I can't answer, I'm happy to get back to you. The project is called Public Address by the artist Alex Strada. She has been what I don't know how familiar you are with the PAIR program, which is the Public Artist in Residence. It's a program run by the Department of Cultural Affairs in which an artist is embedded with another city agency, and they create a culminating project out of it. It's taken a lot of different forms. They don't always end up in parks. But Alex has been working with the Department of Homeless Services since 2022 as part of the PAIR program, and is now getting ready to launch a citywide effort of her public art culminating project. She grew up in Lower Manhattan. She's a lifelong New Yorker. Currently teaches at Pratt, as I mentioned. The project will be installed. We're looking at mid-October with an event on October 18th. The end date, we're still working out a little bit, but it'll be a fairly short exhibition through February. And ultimately, the nature of the project is during her time with homeless services, she spoke with over 500 people living and working in the shelters to write log entries that address misperceptions about the experience of homelessness. People who work at these shelters keep log books to inform people who are coming in on the next shift, all of the different things that happen during the day. She also involved, people living in these shelters to write their own logbook entries of their experience. Ultimately, the goal of the project is to debunk harmful stereotypes and encourage the public to consider addressing homelessness as part of their civic responsibility, and also humanize these individuals. There will be a series of 10 artworks of varying size and installation method, which I'll share. I mentioned DOT was a partner in this exhibition as well. Their involvement is that their sign shop will be fabricating all of the pieces with their standard materials, so they will be very durable. There's a series of larger pieces that will have freestanding concrete footings. There will be no direct attachment to the existing paved surfaces. So at the end of the exhibition, everything comes out of the park quite easily. The smaller pieces will be bracketed onto the existing fencing. The sizes range quite a bit, from about 1.5 feet high and 1 foot wide, up to 6 feet high and 3.5 feet wide. And this is to give you, now I'm just going to go through some visuals of the layout of the exhibition. There might be some slight changes to the appearance of the base, but this gives you a general sense of this. And I will also mention that we met with the Friends of Petrosino Square a couple weeks ago to share information about the project with them, and they were very supportive of this project. I know there's a long history. There was public art in this park, and I understand at the north end of the park, and that is no longer usable because of a city bike station. But our hope is by using the interior of the park that they will draw interest back to the park. And there's also going to be additional programming with Storefront for Art and Architecture, which is around the corner. They've also been integral partners in this exhibition and working closely with the artist, and will help support with maintenance, installation, etc. So as you can see, some of the pieces are more like sketches or doodles, and others are written log entries. And I will also add that all of the images you see here and the entries that you see here are with the full consent of the individuals who are part of the project. Here's an overview of the park with all of the different pieces in situ. And that is it. I don't know if there's any questions.
Yeah, well, of course.
Shirley's got.
Yeah, I think Rich spoke with you about the history.
Yeah.
Shirley Secunda, and with the Transportation Committee. And we've mostly been dealing with DOT on the project, although it's, I think, both parks and transportation has a piece of it. And I just take every opportunity to bring this issue up. And this was at the end of the de Blasio administration on December 9th, 2021. There was a letter of commitment for various improvements, one of them being something called Reimagine Petrosino Square, and I'd just like to read it. DOT in consultation with Parks commits to studying the potential redesign and expansion of Petrosino Square to expand the public space and create new opportunities for public art programming. It will evaluate potential geometric changes to Lafayette, Cleveland, and Cannon streets, effects on safety and flow for pedestrians, bicyclists, and emergency vehicle access, impacts on access to adjacent residential and commercial properties, and the potential modification or relocation of existing furniture within the square, including existing fencing, benches, and the bike share station, and other relevant considerations. As we await the findings and recommendations of the study, Parks commits to advancing opportunities for activating the space at Petrosino Square by promoting the site through Parks' rotating public art installation program. So actually, this is, I'm sure, very welcome by the community.
Yeah.
They had this whole program going since the 80s, just
Yeah.
of the green part there. So anyhow, upon completion of the study, DOT and Parks will share its findings and recommendations with the Manhattan Borough President, local council member, and community board. Funding was $500,000 and expense. Timelines the study was to begin in the third quarter of 2022. Needless to say, the study never began. Along the way, DOT said the COVID pandemic, of course, had stopped some of it, but it's never happened. And we have appealed to DOT several times, but really not gotten any kind of resolution. And so I figured I'll bring it up to Parks too.
Yeah.
With the hopes that something will be done, and well aware that Friends of Petrosino Square and the community around it is very much in favor of your project. I know.
Yeah. And we actually, when we met with them on site, we had a very extensive conversation about the site history and I think a lot of the substance of what you just shared. And, the hope is that this exhibition will renew some interest in the site and encourage, I think those conversations to move forward. And I'm happy to relay a message, back to the borough office, as you can imagine, it's outside of my realm.
We're kind of at our wit's end.
Yeah, yeah.
How to get this done.
Yeah.
It sounds so promising at first. There was that 500 thou,
Yeah.
set aside, and just nothing has ever moved on it.
Yeah.
So anything that you could advise that we might do, I mean, we've gone to DOT endless times, hardly ever gotten a response.
Yeah.
So-
I think, again, a little outside my realm, but I think I can definitely bring this to, our borough office and others at Parks who could do maybe more than I can. I think, at least at this point, we'll bring in some temporary public art, get some interest in the site. I know Storefront for Art and Architecture is interested in possibly doing more public art here and, having programming and things like that. I'm not sure if you're familiar with their organization, but they're around the corner. It's a very interesting wedge-shaped space. So it seems natural that they might want to get involved here. But, I think, I totally hear what you're saying. And I think, that maybe that's something this will help spark that conversation again.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I see that Teresa at Flores has sent a little message saying if we needed to speak with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is from Frederica. Frederica had no idea the money was supposed to be committed, the 500,000, to that study. But this was, a mayor ago. So.
Yeah, I think between Teresa and I, we'll bring this back to some others and see what we
Thank
can
you.
find out for you.
And anything we can input and help with to maybe get this going, because the other idea obviously was to extend the park itself and to kind of redesign that whole area. Okay, I've said enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say this looks like a cool exhibition, and I'm wondering if there's any planned programming around it as well, given the subject matter.
Yeah, there will be an opening event on October 18th that we're still working out some of the fine details on, and we're happy to share information with you on that. And there will be a couple other supporting programs, either in the park or at Storefront around the corner. And again, we're happy to fill you in on that as well.
Cool.
Great.
Great. There's, is there ever any, I'm sorry, I was going to ask a question. That's good. Yep. Do you ever experience any damages or vandalism?
It happens. The large majority of it is things like stickers. People lately seem to love to put stickers on things or, draw on things with Sharpie and stuff like that, which luckily they're easy to remove, especially from things like this. It'll be, it's engineered to be outdoors, so it's maybe a little bit more of an issue if something has like a specialty painted surface or something like that. But largely it's that kind of stuff of that nature. Not to say that anything can't happen, but we prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Pledge to not do that this time. Yeah, no, that's glad. I'm glad to hear that. I just wonder, every time we talk about it, we're always wondering if someone's going to climb on it or, So I thought I'd get that question.
A track record, and also in this exhibition, especially with the partners at Storefront, they're right around the corner, so they'll be seeing it every day and can address anything that happens, fairly quickly. If you see anything, you can let me know, and I'll let the artists know. Everyone's pretty responsive.
Okay. There you are. Yeah.
I don't know if you went over this, but I'm curious about like what the materials are, especially for like the smaller pieces that are going to be on like the fencing and like how, I don't know, I guess like how secure they might be.
Yeah. So all of it will be inkjet print on aluminum.
Yeah. Okay.
The larger pieces will be anchored with these steel legs into concrete bases. And then the pieces on the fence will be attached with like metal brackets or metal strapping. So these ones have like a pretty heavy duty strap. And these ones, sorry, my scrolling is a little off. The ones on the fence here will be with like a metal bracket.
Okay. Yeah, because along the same lines as people putting stickers and using Sharpies on things, I feel like people also like to take souvenirs. It's good if possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good flag. I think, that's something we're always mindful of as well, especially for smaller pieces like these.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, Susanna, I see your hand is up virtually.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Hi there. Thank you. This is so interesting. I have two questions. One is about the siting of the work and the other is about the content of the work.
Mm-hmm.
Let me lower my hand. The siting, because it's about homelessness, there's a political content to this meaning. And I wondered if this site, which is in a very affluent area that has no homeless shelters, if that was intentional or if that's just where the space happens to present itself.
Partially the space presents itself again with the partnership with Storefront, around the corner. I think ultimately the goal of the project is to spark these dialogues and focus on these people as individuals. And just to share also, it will be going to each of the 5 boroughs, so all different neighborhoods. I think the second one is like Mount Eden in the Bronx. There'll be on Staten Island by the ferry, I think Columbus Park in Brooklyn, and a site in Queens we haven't quite landed on yet. So it is going to a variety of different neighborhoods that maybe, encounter homelessness in different ways.
That's interesting. The other question I had was about the content. It looks like some of these works are very literal and some of them are very abstract and some of them are abstracted where I can understand what it is. There seem to be different versions of what people consider home, but some of them are so abstract. I just wonder if you can shed any light on it. Like there's that little squiggle thing with the like that little blue, maybe that's a blue cloud. And then there was something like with a creature with another thing that had like fuzzy legs or something. This one with the red
it's like an insect.
It's an insect. Okay.
And there will be interpretive signage as well.
Oh, there will be. So I will have some sense into what the artist intended. All right. Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes, surely. Go.
Yeah, Elizabeth, if the landscape of the park in these photos just looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I've never seen Petrosino Park
Well,
ever look like that. And is there any intention of kind of cleaning up the park and making it look like that to hold these public arts?
actually, that,
Yeah.
that's good. I'm glad you raised it. It was on my list of friends. Who did we heard from someone today from Friends of Petrosino saying, you know, I know we support this, but if there's anything we can do about the greenery, it's all dried out. And they were told, I guess, maybe in your meeting that there are no gardeners that available there, maybe trees can weigh in on this.
And what about like just the maintenance, the cleanliness?
Yeah, yeah.
It all looks great.
Well, let's give them a chance to answer.
Look
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that is something we also discussed on site was site conditions and cleaning up. I think Therese might want to add something, but I see her in the chat there. I don't know if she could be added.
Yeah, do we?
So she can't speak.
Can you can't speak? Hold on one second.
We're promoting her
Participants, you got it?
Oh, there she is.
at the top.
On top, there you are.
Loud to talk, yes. Try it now, please, Trace.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Oh, great. Okay, so thank you so much for letting me unmute. You know, Petrosino has gone through a lot since COVID, and including losing a lot of trees. And the Friends of Petrosino Square have been a really great eye on things there, and have been through the years helping us to water and maintain and replant. And you know, after COVID, it was really harder to find volunteers as well to continue that, because it's only got like 4 foot of soil there. So you really have to keep irrigating it, otherwise it desiccates. And so a lot of those trees that were Eastern hornbeams died, or sorry, they might be European, one of them. So, and then we also had ginkgos that were dying, and it's really unfortunate that it's right over the subway. It's very hot there, and it's just brutal on horticulture. So we need an irrigation system there just to combat the really extreme temperatures. You know, once we lost the trees, it got hotter. And it's also, unfortunately, a good site for rats. You know, it's a very popular lunch spot. There's a lot of restaurants. It gets, now that we have second shift, we can take out the trash more often, but, you know, it's also got neighboring trash that needs to be better contained. So there's a lot going on there that, you know, we need to fundraise for, like getting the irrigation system so that we can make it feasible to have that space looking really nice.
Okay, so, but what about the gardener question? Is that a real answer?
So if we could definitely, you know, make that request. We don't have a gardener. We haven't had one for a year. And it's, you know, even when we had a gardener, it was very stretched between so many different sites, including, you know, DeSalvio, which we had just replanted and put down some hoses for, you know, some soaker hoses. It's a really tough job in these neighborhoods that have really hot conditions. So we need more support from volunteers and gardeners, especially at least one for the district, like we had before.
Yeah, that is that's foreshadowing of our next topic. So
Great, yay! We need it.
All right, just jumping around here. Any other questions from any other committee members?
Yeah, I had one. It's Coral.
Yeah.
So I do agree that we need to have more gardeners, et cetera, too. I was wondering about, I walk by there almost every day, so I'm happy to like send you, you know, updates or whatever if we see anything happen to it. But is the artist able to address, like, would you become, or how would we address issues that come up?
You can always send them to me and then I pass them along to the artist. It is the artist's responsibility to address any issues. You know, artwork is made out of all different materials that we don't always necessarily know how to treat or might cause more damage, but it is their responsibility. So if you do notice anything, you're welcome to reach out to me anytime.
Okay, and I think it's wonderful that you're involving the Center for Art and Architecture. I think that's fantastic that they're getting involved. And I definitely think in addition to them promoting the artwork that's there, there's like a hot new taco place. I don't particularly love it, but it is like Instagram, like wild. Because it's like a major Mexico City one that's opened right
Yes.
across the street where La Esquina is, that upstairs taqueria. It's called Santo Taca. It's got like millions of followers. But they are
Okay.
like, I mean, just like, you know, if the artist asked them to
I've seen
promote the
that.
work, I'm sure they would do that. And it's just like, it's the hot new taco place. And then just to Susanna's point, there is actually a methadone clinic directly across the street. And the closest shelter to our area is actually the Bowery Mission. And it's the closest park to the Bowery Mission.
Yes.
And in our district. So I think it's actually pretty appropriate because, you know, Elizabeth Street Garden isn't technically a park, but, and I don't think could host this, or maybe it could, but it wouldn't be part of New York Parks art programming. And otherwise you'd have to go to Sarah D. Roosevelt to get something that's close to the Bowery Mission. So, you know, honestly, it's probably a pretty appropriate spot.
Cool.
Great, thank you for that.
Sure.
Any other questions by community members? I see in there that Pete's saying yes to the irrigation system. And we talked about the Christmas tree vendor who sets up every year and the conflicts they might have with the installation. Yeah, what about that, Elizabeth? Will there be a conflict with the Christmas tree vendor?
So I think, you know, the artwork is largely centered on the interior of the park. That is something we discussed at the site visit. I think we'll have another conversation about that. The artist didn't feel like she couldn't share the space. You know, she feels like that wouldn't be an issue, but I think we just need to talk about, I think, setup and how it might impact the art installation.
Okay, I'll include that in the notes. And Elizabeth, do you mind if I I'll share your contact info.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I had shared this around, so they have your emails, but I'll make sure they're in the notes. We find a way to convey that any issues that are seen should be communicated to you.
Great.
All right, everybody cool with this? Are we supportive of this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
everybody okay? Thanks for this. Good transition. Look at that. Thank you for joining us, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
And everybody, Coral, and everybody on online that's there. Okay, the next topic, and I said there's a good segue, is our creation of our committee's list of district needs assessments. Now, we do this every year. You'd think I would remember how to do it each year, but I spent a lot of time remembering it, and it always takes a lot of time. It takes time to remember the various topics. And then there's this part of a process. Every committee does this. And then at executive committee, we compare each committee's, in October, I guess we do it, Mark, where each committee's lists are battled against each other or put against each other. And then the executive committee organizes the priorities across the committees and to deliver that to the city. And then that gets voted on at the board. And then I was checking, Mark, it's like 5 or 6 months later, we get responses from the city agency.
It seems to me it's about June.
I thought I saw last year it was a little earlier.
Was it earlier?
We typically get them right around the release of the mayor's preliminary budget.
That
is supposed to be, I think, January 17th, give or take.
Really? Oh,
Yes,
really?
indeed. But it's often delayed beyond that. And then we have an opportunity to respond, but the response is always, we really meant what we said when we saw these, because they very rarely grant your request. So.
Right. Yeah. It's usually just a matter of how eloquent the agencies are about, or not about rejecting it. That said, and sometimes they're not snarky, but sometimes, you know, we need more information or get some funding. You know, you saw it. If you look through this document, its agency does not
Raise taxes.
Yeah, you know, or hire. It says
Lots of equivocating.
elect better representative. You know, it's no. I'm just using
There's a lot of no answers. But it's kind of, I think that we sort of deem it a political document, like this is what we we hold important, and that gets reflected in the district statement of needs as well.
And it is good. I have to say, the commissioners and Steve Simon have always said it does help them if, at DPR, if we have it on our list, for their going to battle for us. And to that end, as challenging as this sounds, or as, frustrating as it sounds, if you look through last year's list, and that's part of why I sent it around, things that we had kept out there for years actually got attention,
These things
right?
actually got
Right.
attention.
I mean, Dapolito and 388 Hudson and Elizabeth, look, I don't take credit for Elizabeth Street Garden, but we had it on there every year. And Elizabeth Street Garden was addressed this year. And at the end of the year, the pathway or the JJ Walker we talked about, there were a couple others on the list. So it does help the Parks Committee. And even though, we may not get the funding right away, the list we create does go into setting the agendas for our meetings each month. We do harken back. And so I produced something here, pass this around. It's just one page, and then I'll try to share it. There is a I put together a list. I actually had started this a couple months ago. I was going to, I created something I called, this was for the expectation that we were going to have some new committee members, and they will come, some of the new committee members will be added to committees. And so I thought, well, when they come on, let me just alert them and sort of an orientation to what it is that we have been working on over the recent years. So I put together something called, I think this is it, topics we have discussed over the last year, or that we have included in our last district needs assessment. And so it's a list, again, which just as I was going through, some of the things we've talked about were things that were on our, were things that were on there. Of course, there are other things that come up, like, the changing of rules in Washington Square Park that addressed artistic expression that we had to deal with in more of an emergency sort of thing. But if you look through this list, it's just it's a page of maybe 20 things. There was, it's a good reminder of the sort of topics we discussed and the sort of things that, we felt at least this year and were critical or of interest to it. And we sort of think of them as pressing, mandatory, important, nice to have, right? One more point before I turn it over. Actually, two more points. Mark, can you remind me again, we think of it as both expenses. We have two lists, really, expenses versus capital.
So for budget requests, district needs that are identified don't have to be budget solutions. They can be policy solutions and so forth. But to the extent that you're inserting budget priorities, they need to be identified as either capital or expense. Just for everybody's review, capital is a purchase value of $50,000 or more. Sometimes you can aggregate smaller purchases into a single purchase, like if you're buying new doors for all of a NYCHA complex, no one door is $50,000, but the accumulation can be. And it has to have a useful life of over 5 years. So ironically, a police car is not a capital expense because it doesn't last 5 years, even though it would be to me.
Right.
Anyway, I hope that's useful.
Thank you. Yeah. And one other question, Mark, do you remember why last year we combined parks, cultural, and other community facilities?
Okay, so I sent around a message today that probably just sit in your inbox since you're on your way here. And the categories in the district needs statement are not determined by us.
Okay.
They're determined by the Department of City Planning. So so that's their way of looking at this.
Okay. One other point, and then I'll turn it over for discussion. This year, in anticipation, I actually posed this question to Commissioner Shimomura and said, is there anything you'd like us to think about? Because, we're really, we'd like to be aligned on this. And she gave us 4 points, which I wrote down. Let me list them out. She said, it would be great if we focused when identifying needs, gaps, and priorities, if we try to take a more data-driven approach than we may have has been undertaken in the past. She recommended utilizing the new Vital Parks tool, which analyzes local parks across 26 different metrics to identify underperforming areas and areas for improvement. Also in there are sites that have not been updated in many years. The second point she said is that she said it would be worthwhile, if you're comfortable with this, that we embark on an effort along with parks to advocate for a friends group or whatever we want to call them for each park or open space. Again, by determining whether every park has an active one already and encouraging, people like, you see it right here with the Friends of Petrosino, for example, that, can assist in promoting programming and volunteerism. The third point she asked us to look at was that we identify and review opportunities to address shortcomings or issues with staffing levels, like playground associates, which are staff who engage with children in parks during summer months, but also
or gardeners.
Or gardeners, right? Which was the reason why when that message came through today, Petrosino saying there's no gardeners, I'm like, oh, that's a good segue, right? So, and then again, just to repeat again, looking for parks that have not had capital upgrades in 20+ years. So those were all sort of inputs into it. I'm not sure that, and she'd said, maybe there's something to be done at Avenue of the Playground of the Americas. Maybe there's something that could be done at the Time Landscape Garden, although we didn't necessarily have great ideas of it, So that's sort of the setup. I wonder if people who've done this before, Susanna, Shirley, Frederica, Coral, et cetera, do you have any thoughts on it? Because we have kind of the big ones from last year have kind of are in process already. Right.
It's encouraging.
Kind of an opportunity, and maybe you young guys would change everything. So maybe a way to look at things differently.
Can you quickly speak to the process you see for this?
Yeah. Right now, or
are we having a discussion with pass resolution today? Are we going to be passing one in November?
Yeah. So we'll. I think we want to come up with a list. I feel uncomfortable. I think we should have another conversation, but I think we should plant the seed, get people thinking about it, put together a rough idea, and then we can finalize it before, what we do exactly in October, but we'll try to put it in our notes this time, right?
Generally speaking, the list is formulated in October exact. The difference this year is that part of that process in previous years was, so Parks has a few budget priorities that it advocates, and so would transportation or this one or that one. And we used to have to integrate it into a single numerated list.
Right.
No longer. So each of those categories that you see on the district.
Yep. The 5 or 6.
The template.
Yep.
Each will have, so you should rank your parks 1 to whatever in your ranking, but we're not going to then.
Okay. Don't have to battle out. Oh, good. Okay, well, yeah, so I think because we have this opportunity to sort of reset with some of the big ones that have been outstanding, we can still say, hey, look, push through on Dapolito. Oh, one thing, I'm sorry to go off tangent. I just have to say to everyone, remember we passed a resolution supporting New York City's Department of Parks and Recreation's request to utilize the Hudson Square Open Fund for finance improvements of Jay Walker, right? We passed that last, and that got voted on at executive, and it was not smooth sailing. In that there were some, who else? Was anyone else on there? Mark, you were there. Landmarks asked me to make one additional comment, and I added to the whereases that for clarity, the CB2 Manhattan has an established position from the Landmarks Committee that they don't want to see this torn down, and that this does not override that.
Yes, it's narrowly tailored on JJ Walker.
Yeah, right.
Why does it have anything to do with the playground?
It didn't, it was a long
That's
battle.
ridiculous. Yeah,
Right.
I'm sorry they required that because it's tangential and not really regarding the playground.
It was, you both are hitting on the topic, that was a conversation, but this one has a lot of emotional stuff, and so it seemed, it just was a point.
That's unfortunate.
It went in the whereas, it didn't go in the therefore be it resolved.
Great, nice handling.
Yeah, it was I mean, it wasn't heated. I mean, everyone's reasonable. It was just, Mark, back now, everyone was cool with it. It was just, they thought it would be good to clarify.
There was concern that clarification is, my perception, solved the issue.
Yeah, that was it, right. So I'm sorry to go off on tangent. Let's go back to.
Are we passing our final things today? Or are we're going to continue to discuss for the next?
I don't want to put pressure on us. I wanted to present this because I think we have a little bit more of an opportunity this time to come up with new ideas. And because it's so early in the month, I think I don't want to force us to do it. I think we have to all agree on the list, later on, but.
Yeah, great.
So Rich, I'd like to jump in because the water thing is such an issue.
Yeah,
I mean, parks, and so when you sort of like peel back the layers here, they're understaffed. Originally, we had a gardener for about 10 years, one gardener for the 65 parks downtown, one.
Yeah.
And that didn't count the green spaces or open spaces or DOT spaces.
Yeah.
So it's always been a model that's reliant on volunteers. But to ask volunteers to carry jugs of water like 4 times a week, it's just ridiculous. You know, it works for like 2 or 3 families that live in an area for a long time and are diehards, and then they move and there's just nothing, or someone has a baby or whatever, and then all the plants die. It happens everywhere.
Those are 2 different things, right? You're talking about a gardener for downtown parks.
Well, so I would say that I would prioritize the water, because the reality is, the staffing models change so much at parks that we can't be guaranteed a great gardener. But if we have water, we can encourage volunteers and community members to use the hose a couple times a week, or let their kids go and hose. Like, people will do it if there is water. And the issue is carrying the water to 12 tree pits, or like trying to water the whole. It just doesn't work. So if we were going to address, in capital, I would want to consider having access coordinated with other city agencies to provide water, because there are creative ways of doing it. They could have it be with, the fire department in certain places. They could provide, access if it's located nearby. I think if we thought through strategic ways of where it doesn't require literally, millions of dollars to create a new pump or something. I mean, that's not going to happen. But there probably are ways that we can connect water that's local or nearby from another agency and provide some sort of source to volunteers that are trying to help their local area. So that would be a first one. Yes, of course, it would be fantastic to have more gardeners, and I would put gardeners over staff, because the gardeners really make such a big difference and need to be trained. And you can have volunteers do children's programming all the time. But having people that actually know what plants will live or what to do, it's not as, even if you do apps or whatever else, it's not, having a trained gardener would be great, or multiple ones, or maybe, an appropriate number. But I also think that's but I think it should be included. I just think the water thing is like the number one thing that's killing our local parks. Yeah.
We do have a gardener in Washington Square Park, but they're paid for by the Conservancy.
Exactly. And so the pocket parks are in the street, corners and the green, they don't have that. And they can't pay for, and they won't, and then they don't even have water. So then you have a gardener and they don't have any access to water. So what are they going to do? Washington Square Park has water. So, and Time Landscape has been on there. I'd say the issue there forever of having any additional, I think the volunteers that do there do, a very saintly job of carrying water jugs for like 30 years. And you see the water jugs in there. But again, they don't have the access to water yet. That is like an affordable housing building right there.
Yeah.
How they aren't providing water, I don't understand.
Well, I thought, Coral, I just wrote down in my notes, we think that if there were more water systems there, that would do more to drive volunteers. I know we've had this discussion.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that is in line with their strategy.
Yeah, but then Pete just writes in and says there is a water source at Petrosino, but now there's no one volunteering the hours to water the plants. So I just was countering my own note. Well, Pete just raised the point that sort of counters my note. So maybe there's something.
But if Therese doesn't know that there's a water source, that's a little odd. So
no, that's Pete did.
No, I know, but Therese said that there wasn't.
Oh.
So I have a question. I have a question about volunteers.
I didn't say that there wasn't. I said that there's no irrigation.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You did, that's correct.
So, with volunteers.
Yeah.
What kind of how would we have to get volunteers?
No,
No,
just,
does parks, I mean,
it's
the thing is,
public.
it sounds like that's really what's needed. I get. I mean,
Yeah,
but-
there are people that want to volunteer and do volunteer. It's just that they can't do all the parks all the time, and they can't be lugging water all over the city. So
I
you
think-
have basically a roving band of like maybe 20 people. But I'll honestly tell you, like 2 weekends ago, I was walking with a personal friend of mine, and we ran into some volunteers, and I said hello. And afterwards, my friend was like, I honestly can't believe they're doing that. It's like almost like a futile thing. And I get that because, you know, it's like you're sort of like against 10 windmills. There's like not water. It's constant. You don't have plants. People are paying out of their own pocket for the plants. It's
Can we
all
move
kind
on?
of crazy.
But I think
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah. So I think the water is a primary one. The Playground of the Americas,
yeah.
that we've talked about in the past being a dog park, and I don't understand why it still isn't. It's never used. I mean, honestly, I walk by that
Yeah, I
also,
know. I
like
think it
maybe
was,
every other day.
it's because it's next to residential windows, and that's always been the concern.
It's one building. It's not even. It's next to the Hamburger America and next to King Cleaners.
Yeah.
So it's in between those two buildings that are now restaurant and sorry, it's Charlie Bird. It's between Charlie Bird and Hamburger America.
There's residential above it.
Yeah, so one person is able to block the whole park. That's kind of a problem. I mean, I think that should be raised because it's really the perfect spot for a dog park. People want a dog park so badly in that area, and nobody uses the park.
Yeah, okay, that's comment, okay. Okay, just to go back to your other point, I think Commissioner Shimamura's point about trying to find friends groups is the question, is the opportunity to drive more volunteers, right? Even if the friends group just organizes on Monday, Joe's gonna do the watering on Wednesday, Mary's gonna do the watering, you know. There's some sort of structure or infrastructure
Yeah.
that helps to drive volunteers, so that if there's water, made available, that, you know, somebody will pick it up and do it. That's it. Yeah, so, all right, so we got water systems, potentially gardeners, Playground Americas is a dog park. Susanna, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I think that the takeaway I remember from the meeting we had with Commissioner Shimamura is that she does not have all the funding for that corridor. And so I think that it would be helpful for us to express an interest in that funding as capital money.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
how would you write that? How would you?
Well, I think I think it would. I mean, I think since the renovation of JJ Walker and the development of 388 is such a high priority for us, for our committee, I think that one of our top priorities as a committee would be to request capital funding to complete the proposed project on Clarkson Street.
Yeah,
And
totally agree.
renovation of JJ Walker, and the playground, et cetera. The other thing is I was looking at the list there, as you say, there are so many things that have been addressed, but there all those little pocket parks, which I have no particular
Yes.
particular familiarity with. If they could be lumped together as one capital project, that might be useful. And to make the argument, we could use the Vital Parks website to make the argument that they haven't been touched in a long time. That would help us with that. Those
I
were
like that one. Look, that area, if you walk down there at night, south of, the subway on, what is that one? West Fourth to 8th Street.
Yeah.
South of that, I've talked to Commissioner Sherman. She's like, look, just from a parks point of view, we should be doing more to keep those areas clean. And so she has sent in, if you go over there, it's been a month or so, they've tried to do more to keep them clean and try to deal with rats. There are times when she's used, Will Morrison has used staff from Washington Square Park to go out to those block away or 2 blocks away to try to help clean up. I think.
Right, so I mean, could we do that, lump them together and talk about enhancement?
Yeah.
General,
Yeah.
so that would also.
I think that we can now finally also drop Elizabeth Street, and we can now drop Elizabeth Garden from our list of priorities because it's being addressed.
Yeah, and in that area, Bleecker playground, that little cute playground that was redone. I
Yeah.
recently, Partnership for Parks asked me to meet them there and meet a woman who's been taking care of it for like 40 years, and she's the person that brings the playground padding is all coming up, like trip hazard level coming up, and the gate to the entrance has broken. So now there's this like thing that actually cut me on the day I was there, which was because it's just so, it's like jab it. So the gate needs to be fixed, and then also the safety flooring. That's a capital.
Is that you're talking Bleecker Street Playground?
It's no, sorry, it's Minetta Street.
Minetta, I'm sorry.
Minetta, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I was like, why is that name sounding wrong? It's Minetta, which I feel like Minetta was recently redone, but it was true. It was like the whatever safety flooring they used really didn't work. It's all coming up.
Okay, so even though, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, Teresa may have a comment there, but yeah, it was done, I don't know, 5 years ago. But it might be allocate funds for greater maintenance of the recently renovated park or something like that.
Yeah, the Partnership for Parks guy's very well aware of it, but the local person, she's also paying for all the plants, planting it all, the water's not working all the time. She had a long list. But I think the number one thing that is obviously an issue for the children that play there is the safety.
Okay.
They should come to us. If there's a Friends of Minetta, they should come to us.
Yeah, they came to Partnerships.
There's one vocal person who lives next door. And we do bring her a lot of plants, and she does help water. And there's also MD, who's a neighborhood homeless person who comes by and waters. There was an ask for an irrigation system by her. She's the neighbor, like right next door. And she has worked really closely with us to advocate for a new safety surface. It was put in, I think, in 2010.
Yeah, that was a long.
I wanted to just make one comment about the dog park proposal for Avenue of the Americas. There is a dog park, as you know, on the south side of Washington Square Park, and I believe that there are a lot of residential buildings on that side. I know it's also NYU, but I just wonder if that experience shows that it's really annoying to be next to a dog park, or maybe it's not so bad.
It's also a dog park that's not a DPR. It's an NYU facility down on the north side of Houston Street at the new Paulson Center.
But that's a private one that you have to pay for, and you have to have a pedigreed dog.
No, the point is not whether it's just a question of whether it's annoying to live next to it. That's all.
Okay. All right. I don't know how to rank it as compared to the sounds. Yapping dogs or pickleball pinging.
It's across the street from a fire station.
I know. Yeah, that's true. It is
Fire trucks are going out of that every day, like all the time. So
pickleball across the.
Pickleball across the street in Pasanante. And
Right,
so.
yeah. But
by the way, who paid for that finally at Pasanante? Was that in Capital? Because it really did resurface it, and they put all the courts. Was it the pickleball people, or was it Capital?
No, it was just an adjustment of the design, I think. You remember what happened was we got the approval. Well, remember Steve said, I think I can do it out of expense. And then we ended up putting into capital. I think it got approved, or one of the or one of our elected officials got it. But then there was a big debate about what should be painted. You remember that? And Eric Botcher sort of brought in a group, and if somebody knows more, if you know better, I think Eric was the one who got the final sort of designs accepted by the community.
It was a long process with input. Yeah.
It's actually flat now, so that must have caught something. Anyways, it looks great, but it's completely level now, so and that had to have cost something.
Yeah, that was.
I think that was state of good repair, and we had funding, and we did the same design. Just it was less because we did have the same design.
But you're right. The smoothing out made it a bigger issue, a bigger project than just could be done through regular maintenance. That's right. Remember, we had the hockey. It was hard to.
Yeah, so I mean, it's hockey's there. There's a firehouse across the side. There's a hamburger place and a very popular restaurant. So the argument of like the dog park's going to be the issue for noise, it's very small, so it couldn't accommodate big dogs. Is hard to digest.
I do like that hamburger, America. That's easy to digest.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. Any more? Suzanne, you're on mute.
Sorry, Frederica's had her hand up for a long time.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Thanks. Frederica, would you like to go next?
Thank you, Susanna. But my suggestion is very short. It's simply that we do an inventory of parks that haven't been upgraded in the last 20 years.
Yeah. I feel like we,
We have that through
Is
the
that something-
bonds.
Sorry, Coral, could I just ask my question?
yeah, no, I think Coral has a response. Well,
Yeah, I was answering.
Yeah. Did
Well,
we do-
okay, but is the Vital Parks tool something that can expedite that?
I feel like I've already done this, or.
I'm looking at it now and I've been just peeking at it and you can at least get it in a roundabout way. So there's a identification of high quality parks. I don't think they have a separate identification for low quality facilities, but you can just do the difference of what's not a high
But
quality.
there's nothing, well, we should know though. Rick, shouldn't
There
we-
is a way to do it.
Yeah.
I did it a while back. I haven't done it recently. But the way it's done is because they're funded by capital projects or bonds. So you just go back through what each one of the fundings were, and then you can pull out when each park was funded.
Yeah, I swear.
And they normally have to be at least 20 years to have a new capital piece put out. But that's how you go through the capital numbers to pull out the parks. And parks definitely has this.
Yeah, I swear I've done this. Susanna, did I show you this? I did this a few months back, I thought, but I thought I should.
Vesuvio is definitely at the 20 years, but we know it's still functioning.
Who can
so.
remember? But I'm sure that that's an exercise that can be done.
Yeah, we should do it, yeah.
I mean, we've had a lot of, we have had a lot of investment from the city in our parks.
Agreed.
Yeah, Trinity still hasn't done what it's supposed to with the parks. I think that we should put that on our list.
So Duarte Square
That's
and. the
not a
building-
city request though,
Oh.
Carl.
So there is.
Well, the part next to it is. Remember the part that's like across the,
Yes,
what is it, that little median? And that
Yes.
is city.
that is the Duarte Plaza.
The statue thing and then, yeah, the little,
Yeah, I have, Therese, do you have it? I heard something about Duarte and I sent it to somebody. There is maybe I sent it to Janine. That project, that building at Duarte Square is going forward. There is a plan. There is, it came up because supposed to be a school in there and some housing but the park across the way, I think part of the delay on the park across the way is because there were so many other projects going on in that neighborhood, in that area from Canal,
Yeah,
the basketball courts and the power station and a bunch
right,
of.
they've got that DEP thing
Yeah,
by
yeah,
Duarte.
Yeah. But I swear I know, I heard something from that Duarte is happening.
Yeah, I can get you the information.
Yeah, didn't I find that?
Yeah,
Oh, here.
that sounds familiar.
You're right. As you know, Duarte Square is not a city project, but I got somebody told me that project is going to, is picking up the building of the building at Duarte Square. But again, a park across the way is, let me look into that. Duarte Plaza or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Part
I
of
think
it.
it's called Duarte Square. It's another one of those triangles that's a square.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You're right.
yeah.
And there's a big bike rack there too. I think I sent it, I heard it through another source, I think from a real estate developer or somebody told me. So, okay, let's put that on the, here, it was, that's too old. Yeah, I think Trinity is supposed to be developing Duarte.
Yeah.
And they had a partner, that's what it is. They had a partner and they had a developer partner and they were going forward. So, I don't remember the details, but if Teresa, if you know more than me, please jump in.
Not at the moment. I have to check in with them.
Yeah, I know, I think a real estate guy told me. You know, those real estate bars I hang out at. No, okay, who else?
I have a couple.
Go ahead.
One is I think we should probably be pretty intentional about Washington Square Park requests. Obviously, it's the most used park in well, I don't know about Hudson Square, but it is one of the two most used parks in our district. And, especially all the conversations we have in our board about it, the things that come to mind as capital improvements would be broadly safety, lighting, other infrastructure there. Gates, and then
That's a hot topic.
yeah, related, and then somewhat related to that is, and I don't know how much this would be considered a capital expense, so maybe it's moot, is just sort of increased either permanent or semi-permanent arts funding. I think we see a lot of these wonderful, park presentations to this committee. And to me, it's just like if we wanted to, we had the resourcing, we could have a lot more. We are one of the homes of artists in New York City. We should be able to have a lot more public art if we wanted it.
A lot of public art in Washington Square Park.
And then unrelated to all of that, the other one of a park that is close to me, and I am perhaps one of the closest community board members to live to that we don't discuss a lot, is Gail Rapkin Gale Plaza. It's in Soho, kind of close to Chinatown. It's on like Lafayette and Grand, I want to say. It's actually a pretty new renovated thing. The problem is just a very confusing space. There's like almost no seating. There's absolutely no shade. And so it's so close to being a wonderful park or like recreation area and a place that's start for it.
That isn't the
It's a
one.
water tunnel.
The water tunnel site.
Yeah, the
What?
water tunnel, right.
Yeah, so we had that
Yeah.
converted from a water tunnel site into a park. There's limits on how big the trees can get.
Because of the access to the tunnel.
Certainly, and it's hard, often can be hard to put it, but for one, there's very little limited seating there.
Yeah.
And it's more,
We can ask that be reviewed and.
It just wasn't done with that much imagination, frankly.
yeah, and it's,
Young men.
How do we put in that imagination?
Yeah, shade we've asked for before there, and we also asked for those pebbles to not be so hot and burning you in the summertime, because when you touch it, it's just very uncomfortable for anyone to try and sit or anything else. We have asked for that. I think it was last year.
That was one, yeah, I think maybe that was one where, remember the young gentleman who showed us the design and we thought it was great. I think the actual execution when it came to life was not quite as effective as we had seen in the mock-ups.
and it's unfortunate because it looks nice and clean and new. It's just not a super functional recreation space. And so it's like 90% of the way there. And so it would be more useful if you could sit in the shade on a hot day.
Yeah, water tunnel. Yeah, that water tunnel. Yeah,
Something, Washington Square Park. The one thing that always
Rapkin Gale Plaza.
at least my experience, the PEP officers, I don't know what you do. I mean, there is a force there, right? But you never see them. They rarely do anything. I mean, this has been a concern for years, but I don't know. What do you say? Have a training program that's better for PEP officers? More supervision? I don't know.
let me pause here and, Teresa, if you're on, are you still on? I can't see.
I had my hand raised because there's a lot of comments there that, we really do need more PAP officers, and there are so few of them stretched among all the 80 sites in 1 and 2. And there's a lot of, things that go on that cause the horticulture to die. They're very small. I call them TV dinners because they've got tiny little horticulture beds with very radiant surfaces next to them that cause a lot of the soil to lose. They need the irrigation. They might have a water source like at Rapkin Gale, but they don't have like a pipe system that has a timer that allows it to water enough. So a lot of those little garden beds are getting desiccated, and there's been a lot of dog use there. So a lot of the plants have been so heavily peed on that they've just died back. Also, there was no gardener, so the weeds just took over this summer. And once we pulled all the weeds out, a lot of the stuff had died underneath them. So it's really tough without enough PEP officers, without enough gardeners, and without irrigation in these tiny microwave ovens of spaces. It's really a formula that you need to come up with.
Are there other requests that would be beneficial to the Parks Department that you'd like us to consider?
Oh, that's a good question.
And then I'll position the same to Nicole. But Teresa, is there anything that comes to mind that you would like us to list?
Like, I think that the Coral hit it on the head when it comes to needing water, and the fact that we could build up to having volunteers if they saw the results of their efforts. I think getting them to just monitor the irrigation system would help to allow enough water to let things establish. You can't keep the place cool enough and retain moisture without some shade trees or some kind of existing horticulture. And so that also requires fences. We have to keep things fenced off till they really establish and they're not vulnerable. So there's a lot of volunteer coordination that goes into that too. And a lot of our gardeners will do those volunteer coordination efforts. So it's, it's a formula for each park. They might need its own water connection because there's Con Edison lines that make the fire hydrant nearby too hot. Maybe we need it to have a visit with a special water truck until we can get its own water connection.
Right.
So it depends. All these pocket parks have very specific needs.
I think, Therese, that your familiarity with these parks leads me to think that we should maybe you and Rich should have a discussion after this meeting, and you give us a wish list of what you wish you had money for.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've mentioned water, you've mentioned Gardner Petrosino, and I'm sure you've got a lot of other things on your list that would be, you'll know better than we.
If they're good ideas, I will claim that I thought of them, if that's okay.
Thank you. That would be appreciated.
Nicole, I see you're on too, from Councilmember Botcher's office. I wanted to give you a chance to do the same thing of suggesting ideas that I would take credit for if they're good.
Oh, of course, Rich. I would love to give you ideas. I think that I fully agree with Therese as usual. Teresa's spread very thin when she says there's a lot of gardeners that, help with the volunteer people. She's the only one I know, but she has so many different small gardeners that are interested in helping around these small parks. But the one example she just gave was there's one park, Mulry, where there is a hydrant, but like she said, it was the water was too hot. So the garden could not be watered from that hydrant. So then it becomes a race to try and see where you can find water out of a spigot around town, and you're kind of carting it around. So I completely believe with agree with Therese, and I also heartedly endorse getting trees. Without the shade in any of these pocket parks, then things aren't going to grow. McCarthy is doing great over there by Waverly because it actually has some trees and some shade. It attracts people we don't want there all the time, but compared to some other ones where it's just wide open and everything dies, it's just a race to try to keep it watered. So that's all I have to say. But yeah, I think it would really help the little volunteer groups, with that.
Yeah, I should probably use this as an opportunity to just call out the Sheridan Square guys, the team there who comes out and supports that. That's a great volunteer effort. They do amazing work. Not only themselves, but they do organize volunteer days and stuff. They find ways to raise some money to get supplies. I mean, that's just, those guys are a great example, I think, of.
You mean the Christopher Park?
Yeah, Christopher Park and Sheridan Square.
Right.
Yeah.
The Christopher Park Alliance, and also, I'm sorry, my dog's squeaking the toy back of me. Abingdon is another one. They're a little bigger than these small little triangle parks, and those are the ones that are really hard to take care of.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so we have a list. I think the water system that Coral and many other people have mentioned, water systems seems to be a good new one that we haven't done before. That could be a real game changer. The Gardner request is something, a dog park at Playground of the Americas for small dogs. I think the funding of both continued build out of JJ Walker as well as the maintenance is a good one. The Duarte, the pocket parks linked together for maintenance and safer and cleaner and more rat free is a good one. Maintenance funds for and that's for Minetta Playground.
Minetta.
Minetta, not a pocket park, but Minetta on Minetta. Recently, no, it's not Minetta. It's
There's Minetta Playground and Minetta Green. There's
Minetta.
the two.
Yeah.
And
then there's the Swan, the Golden Swan thing. That
Those are pocket parks. I thought you were talking about what's the one right here?
I think she was talking about Minetta Playground when you talked about the gate and
the safety service was Minetta Playground.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Whereas yes, okay.
I do think we should lead with the full support for the master plan for JJ Walker. for
Okay,
sure.
Yeah,
all right.
right.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good one. And then, yeah, and we've already got a resolution on that one. I think the concept of a pool of arts funding is something we should look at more. I think the support of Washington Square Park around is a tricky one in that they now have the partnership with the concert with the
Yeah,
Washington Square Park Conservancy.
Right.
I got to think about how to word that one. Repkin Gale water tunnel site. Pete made a comment in there that it didn't have the maintenance budget, and that's part of the reason why it hasn't, whether been finished or maintained.
Yeah,
But I think the
so,
fact that it's 90% there, and it could just be so much better with a few.
so what about the other water tunnel sites? Do they have maintenance budgets?
No, I wouldn't expect not. Next to the museum and yeah, I don't know.
We have help from the museum quite often. Right now there's a capital project going on the building, so it's kind of affected the horticulture there. But we do have help from the gardener on next door.
That's right. Okay.
There's one last one that is not a top priority, but they did a pretty nice job of cleaning up the Mercer playground, the biking area that has like the snake serpent. So the head of the snake kind of like hasn't really been finalized. It's sort of like this knotty weed thing. And then the paint on the wall is peeling now.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about that.
Oh yeah, no, no. So that's right next to where you're sitting right now is the
Right.
Mercer Playground one, and so the paint's peeling on the wall.
That's
And,
not-
I don't think that makes it to a capital request.
no, that's an expense.
I think it's another one, as Pete's saying, that sometimes we do projects and don't necessarily have maintenance for them after
Yeah,
they
no,
get.
so we have capital requests, expense requests. This is in the expense category
Yeah.
because they did a pretty decent job. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry?
we painted that with volunteers. We use spray
Yeah.
paint because it's a glazed
Oh, okay.
brick and it's really
Yeah.
hard to attach tape
Yeah,
to
it's
there.
just I just walked by the other day and noticed that, and then just the serpent head seems like it just hasn't been dealt with yet.
Oh, good. I'll look into it. It might need some masonry work on the backside.
Yeah.
I think this is a good list. Let me try to pull this together. If we have any research on other parks that are, I see you working on that, been 20+ years or so, we can raise those up.
Vesuvio, 20+. It was the last time was 2000. I think it's, but it's not, but that is the next 20+ one.
All right. Yeah, that'd be an interesting discussion as to what people would want there. That'd be an interesting scoping discussion.
Yeah, that's an experience. After we get after we get all of the big, the big one done, then that'll be the next one.
All right, well, we have some good, I think there's some good, I wanted to just plant the seed up. Is there any, something that we haven't talked about before? I'm not just talking about moving stuff up the list, but I think the water systems is a good example.
Well, we talked about several months ago going through or putting on our agenda all the pocket parks, and we really haven't done that. Or at least having something where we had everyone go and visit different ones, because we do end up, we just, people are not familiar with them and don't know the ones outside of their particular living area.
Yeah.
And they just get neglected.
I had a list. I just, things came up. Commissioner Schumer, we really wanted to talk about JJ Walker. We had Vito. We had all those discussions. So, but let me find. All right. But that's a good list. I want, as you go around, look at parks, think of ideas. We'll start this process. We'll create a process of visiting. We'll look at those that are 20+. And then we will, prioritize our list. But let me take these notes and pull them together.
Okay. So the last one we had, which actually was kind of turned down, was the time landscape.
Yeah, again, time landscape is a question. We've said in some years, fix the fence. That was one thing.
Yeah.
The other one was a fundamental rethinking of, is it a good use of the space?
Right.
As it is, which was a place that recreates the fauna and the flora that was there in 1847 or something. Yeah.
Original.
Yeah, I think we're open for discussion, but that's. We're talking about.
PR actually just turned us down, according to this response, just said agency doesn't support and can't accommodate.
Yeah,
So
I think they want a plan for it. I
literally have never heard anyone complain about it. So I feel like that's like really low on our list in terms of a community thing that people want addressed. Maybe it's something that we should investigate at some point, but generally people complain about everything, and that maybe people are confused because there's the gardens on the other side of the building, and maybe they think it's all part of the same thing.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't be surprised if people just
That's probably right.
didn't know what it was.
Is there entry into the time landscape? I don't,
No.
you can't go.
no,
into
because
it,
it's got
right?
very, very high fences.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's-
so
it's
that's
just
why
like-
no one complains.
Yeah, it's, well, no, you walk around it, you walk by it. You walk on the inside if you're going to Morton Williams or up the stairs. Like you basically experience it around it. Like it's very small. It just seems like not our biggest
Basically
issue.
pay no attention to it.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, it's nice. It's nice that it's green. It's lush.
Right.
It's actually like
it ain't
it's like our own little forest down here. It's the only place that's actually green and lush in this whole
Right.
area.
Yeah.
So it does actually do something in the green space that isn't, you don't see anywhere else in our area.
is there any signage that says what it is?
Yeah.
Yes, there is, and it
There is.
explains. And then there's also like there's an art thing on the other side too.
Yeah.
But yes,
Is that on New York City property or NYU property?
No, it's
Oh, it's New York City.
It's city property?
Yeah.
it's next to the bus stop.
And
I mean, it's honestly like kind of like a fill. It's like instead of having like several different tree guards of like, trees fighting for their life, it's like they all got put together. So it looks a little lush.
in the chat, Pete is saying it's DOT
Yeah, it's DOT. I was just
property.
about to say, I don't think it's DPR, I think it's DOT.
It's DOT, and Jeffrey is saying that he has information.
DOT? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
So
It makes sense because the bus stop's right there.
My memory is that people were complaining that people were throwing
Yeah,
all
trash.
kinds of crap in there, pardon me.
no, I think
I haven't noticed that.
the question is whether
Right.
we're saying it's not an optimal use of space.
Yeah, right.
Well, no, but it is. It's actually all green.
Yeah.
It's actually all green and thriving. So I would disagree with that. We don't
I
have.
would too.
I'm like that might actually be our healthiest natural park in our district. I mean, I
Yeah, you
encourage
need-
you all to
you
walk
need
by
soil.
and see it. Yeah, it is the only
You
one
need
that
soil to have
yeah.
moisture and
That no
thriving
one can
plant.
go into it. It's
No, but you experience every bit of it by walking by it. It's that small.
All right,
Like there's nothing you're not seeing by walking by it.
let me allow Jeffrey to speak now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the woman that takes care of that space is 90 years old. She still is taking care of it. She cleans up debris that gets thrown in, complains about it a lot. Wilhelmina is her name, Wilhelmina
Yeah,
Hellman.
Wilhelmina.
And she can be disagreeable, but she does maintain that space pretty well. She waters it. She lugs water down from our garden, LaGuardia Corner. For a while, she was doing that because the fire hydrant was broken. We got the fire hydrant fixed. Now she's having trouble opening it. She's 90 years old, so that may explain that. I don't know how many years you can expect her to continue to maintain that, but it may not be for next year's budget. You may be able to put it off for a bit. And on the other issue about the little pop-up parks and needing water, having had some experience in the past about getting water, which we have at LaGuardia Corner Gardens, required us to get a water pit with a meter and a frost-free water meter and a frost-free spigot. These involved excavations and was expensive, and that was back in 1984.
Yeah.
Now, for all the little pop-ups, they're not going to want to put in meters in every one of those, and if they did, it would probably be disruptive to the pop-up park. It's possible that they might get a water line in, but I can't imagine that they do it without a meter. I can't imagine the Department of Environmental Protection is going to provide water to any place, any building, any site without putting in a meter. And that is going to be problematic for both cost and usage because of the space. You can put in a frost-free spigot, but it has to have a supply, and the supply has to be metered, because the DEP has to meter all of the water use or they can't find leaks. So that's something you might consider before you ask to spend a lot of money in an area they clearly are not going to spend the money.
Right. Again, that's why I wanted to raise the ideas today. We can do some investigation so that when we do submit our list, it's not, fruitless or, I do have to point out, Pete Davies' great comment here, time landscape, that stretch of land is DOT because
It is exactly like LaGuardia Corner Gardens. It is on Department of Transportation land that was remapped when Robert Moses
Gonna build that
urban
expressway.
renewal for the Southeast Washington Square.
He's gonna build that Manhattan
Yeah,
Expressway. And this
yeah,
week-
that's what they're gonna build,
Yeah.
We've never been able to get it mapped as parks, even though once submitted over 1,000 signatures to the community board and to the parks and the cities and 7 different agencies. The Corporation Council did not want to see it changed to go through ULURP and be mapped as parks. They want to retain their rights that they would be yielding to the state if they make a mapped park, because map parks can't be alienated. So that getting it into the Parks Department purview is problematic in that regard. It has one volunteer. They do need to replace the fence, I think, but good luck with that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Well, good story about it.
So
was
that's
good.
something that we shouldn't be.
See that younger guys? You get to learn something new.
Every day.
Yeah, every year, yeah,
See
it's
that?
education. All right, so I'll spend some time this weekend. I'll pull together some thoughts that we've discussed. I'll go to the transcript, and then I think we'll find ways to, I don't want to close the door on it. I want people to kind of take this and say, oh, there are more ideas that now the seeds have been planted to the gardening preference. Okay? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Never mind.
Kids in school tomorrow, starting school. And
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Night, everybody.